Right. Is that on for you? Yeah.
Yep. All good.
Cool. Right. Now then, Andy Scott. How are you? You all right?
I'm fine and dandy, yes, apart from a bit of man flu.
Oh dear. So you're actually terrible then.
Yeah. Don't know if I'm going to survive it.
I was going to say we don't have to do this if you're that poorly. You know,
okay,
man flu.
fine.
Terrible. See ya. Oh no, but thanks for joining me on this. I do appreciate it. The listeners won't know that me and you actually know each other, and we have known each other for quite a long time. I'd probably put it at about 15 years, maybe even more.
Yeah, well, it's more really. Yeah, I mean, it's like I've actually known you since you were born.
Oh, okay. Soz. Okay, well,
because it mates with your dad, really, originally, wasn't it?
Yeah, I suppose so. Okay, so from when I first remember seeing you, then about 15 years ago, 16 years ago. I'll tell you what it was actually. It was. I remember it. So you used to own a bar in Sheffield town centre. Which is since long gone now. It's still there, but it's
Crucible Corner now. It's owned by the Crucible, but it's shut again now. Actually, they've closed it.
Oh, has it? Right. So when
it's the rubbish.
So obviously, when you owned it, it was called Ruskin's, weren't it?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure the first time that I met you properly was coming down, and you and guitarist Pod and I forget his name now. The drummer, that's so bad at me. Rob, that's it. We're playing as Sci-Fi. And
that's right, yeah. That's a bit rude. Not remember the name of a dead person.
I know, it's really bad as well. Especially because I knew him, sort of very, very, sort of vaguely. I didn't know him, but I did know him, if that makes sense. That is bad, isn't it? Not remembering his name. But that I'm pretty sure, or at least that's my earliest memory of you. And then I haven't been able to shake you loose since.
No, you haven't. No. It was better. We also went to, and I don't know whether you got that for your dad or whether he took you when we went to see Black Sabbath at the City Hall.
Yeah,
not the time that I went with your dad and you fobbed me off with him and didn't come.
Yeah.
The time years before that at the City Hall when.
I don't know. I don't think. Oh no! We went to
Tony Martin was singing.
We went to see Heaven and Hell.
Yeah.
When it weren't Tony Martin. It was Dio. I'm pretty sure.
Was it? I didn't think it was.
It was Dio.
It was a long time ago, wasn't it? Though, because that was when you were probably only about 15 or something like that.
Yeah, it was when I had long hair and you didn't have as many wrinkles.
No, I had some hair. No, I had long hair as well, didn't I?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was down to my shoulders.
Oh yeah. Well, I've seen pictures. Dashing
Bon Jovi look. That flick my hair out.
I don't know about dashing, but
yeah.
But you've been a working musician, an active musician for the best part of 40 years?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, really. Yeah, playing years. A lot longer than that, but sort of working about 40, just over 40 years, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So take us back, sort of right to the very beginning. Like, if you remember, sort of when you first found an interest in music. Because I know that because you're an amazing bass guitarist. I don't mind giving you that compliment, by the way.
Thank you. I'll pass you that $5 later.
That's all right. We've got to make some sort of money around here. But I know that the bass guitar wasn't your first instrument, was it?
No. I've been sort of into music since very young. Cause both my parents played a bit. Mum in particular played piano, and we always had a Bontempi organ in the house. And I do remember then when I went to, I was in school when I was about 8, that I discovered I got perfect pitch. Because I just knew I could sing the notes. And she was talking about this perfect pitch and saying, well, you can't sing a C. And I went, C. And she went, C. And then she went, oh, you can. Scurried it off to fetch the music teacher. And I got asked if I wanted to join the school orchestra at that point. Well, they were just starting one up. So it was just to learn I think it was cornet at that stage, and start doing the grades and all that. And I stuck with that then all the way through junior school, right through senior school. and I did tenor horn and trumpet, but it was trumpet that I was playing in the Sheffield Youth Orchestra.
Yeah.
And by 10, it was about 10 or 11, I played at Sheffield City Hall a couple of times and that in the youth orchestra. And I think it was Loxley Silver Prize brass band that played in for a bit. So I did some of that as well.
I didn't know that you got perfect pitch.
Yeah.
That's new. So on that keyboard behind you, then you'd just be able to
pick a C out.
Yeah. What? Just C.
That's the only one I know. Yeah. The other 60 are a complete utter mystery to me.
even C sharp, it's just a million miles away from your perfect C.
I know 4 notes now because I'm a bass player really hard, so I just have to know E, A, D, and G. Then all right,
You can basically play every song in existence on bass guitar just on those 4 notes.
Yes.
Yeah. Ironic, really, that you've got perfect pitch, but you can only play the 4 notes.
Yeah. As Sheff calls it, a tool of ignorance.
A tool of ignorance.
Or learn a guitar.
Well, yeah, it is. It's for, and I'm sure people will go, oh, like this when I say it, but it's for failed guitarists, isn't it?
Guitarists.
The 6 strings was just 2 strings too many.
Now the 6 strings is for people with little princess fingers like you.
Oh, well, okay, yeah. I suppose you're right.
Real men play basses with proper men hands.
So what's your excuse then?
No, I've actually got little doll's hands.
I've got little doll's hands. You're saying I've got princess hands. You've got really
tiny, teeny doll's hands.
You have, prancing around like this.
But it was after school that I left. When I left, I didn't have money to buy tenor horn or cornet or something. They're ridiculously expensive. Well, they always have been, classical instruments. So I went and bought a electric guitar for 20 quid.
Decent.
Much to the mum's horror. I mean, I'd always been in, well, not always, since I was 11 or 12, I was sort of getting into the rock music stuff, but was still predominantly playing, obviously, classical, on a trumpet. You're not going to be playing sort of rainbow on trumpet, are you, really? Saxon.
You could try.
Sheffield Youth Orchestra. Imagine he doing his classics present. Sheffield Youth Orchestra presents like Ozzy Osbourne.
I know that around Christmas time they have the brass bands in Meadowhall, don't they? Imagine sort of playing Rainbow on one of them.
Cracking out some Metallica or something.
Get out. This is not Christmas music.
But yes, I swapped to guitar, and much of my mother's horror was sort of learning, the usual Deep Purple riffs and stuff like that.
Yeah. Have you mastered it yet?
No. That's why I went to bass, mate. I had a massive paddy and snapped it in half and went out and bought a bass.
And I bet you still can't figure it out even now, can you?
No, I've got one in the corner. It's gathering dust. It's really dusty.
Oh, dear. I would show you, but I don't know if I could teach simpletons like you.
I still play occasionally, but I just don't bother. I mean, I play the keyboard occasionally, play the guitar occasionally. I've got right over in the corner, I've got a drum kit, which I do play occasionally, but I don't really have time to dedicate anything to anything else, really. We've been in several bands. I've enjoyed playing the guitar, but I was only in one band for guitar, really, for a couple of years.
So when did you switch over to bass then?
I think I was late teens, something like that. Maybe about 20. But it was right around time when Phil Lynott died that I think we wanted to do a tribute gig because it was all drug related and that one, anti-drug gig and all that.
Yeah.
And everybody wanted to do the twin guitar lead stuff because it's cool. And in the end, I wasn't as good as the other guitar players anyhow. So I thought, I'll just give me the bass, I'll do that instead. But actually, I've really enjoyed doing bass on that. His bass, although he's not the best bass player in the world, his bass lines are really cool, really melodic. And after I'd learnt some of those, the boys are back in town and stuff like that, I'm like, you can keep your guitar, actually. This is great good.
Yeah.
And it looks even more stupid on me, being small, a massive bass.
I was just about to say.
The comedy value, it looks even better.
Yeah, so everyone's coming to laugh at you. They're coming for the comedy, stay for the music.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. But a minute ago when I was saying about failed guitarists.
Yeah.
Do I need to say any more?
Oh.
He couldn't do those lead parts from Thin Lizzy, so he thought, I know what I'll do. I'll play the 4 notes behind you.
Yeah, I'll just go dop, 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 dop. Now, actually, the thing is, his bass lines weren't like that, where they were very melodic and followed the sort of lead lines and stuff. And he looked cool as well, didn't he? But
he did look pretty cool. I imagine that because it were a tribute band, did you get dressed up like him as well?
No, I think that would be cultural appropriation, don't you, really?
No, that's the authenticity of the tribute
band. I'm putting a big throw on. What are you suggesting?
Oh, dear.
No, I didn't. I didn't do that for long, actually. That was kind of a one-off thing. It was... I then got talking to one of the lads that did the Lizzy stuff. He was in another band called Paris, and they needed a bass player. So that was my first actual proper bass job in a band called Paris. I was actually up at a place called the Music Factory in Sheffield, which you won't remember because I think it's
long gone now. Long gone.
Yeah. It was one of the first places to. It was council funded. It was in an old school building, and they'd got a recording studio in there. They'd got about 3 or 4, at least, rehearsal rooms. They'd got quite a big, what was probably old school hall as a venue. And they also had several rooms where they would teach and stuff in the day, and they taught recording techniques, they taught bass. They had people who teach bass, guitar, singing, stuff like that. So it was a great place to be around. And our singer actually worked there, so he was one of the guitar tutors, I think.
Whereabouts did that used to be? Because I'm sure that there was something similar to that on like John Street near Bramall Lane.
Yeah, that came after actually, and I did rehearsing there at one bit. But this was up in Darnall.
Oh, in Darnall.
Yeah, near fire station.
Right.
Just an old school up there. It was donkey's years before that. Yeah. Before the John Street one. And it was great. It had great facilities, and they put a lot of gigs on and arranged gigs with other cities and places. So we actually, I was only 2021, we were touring all over the place with Paris and with Marlowe after it, because they had the connections to get gigs and play some of the universities and stuff like that, which was great. But Warwick University and...
Yeah, that's not far away from me, Warwick University.
Oh, it's not, is it? No,
it isn't now. But so okay, going back to the Thin Lizzy tribute band, then would you say that they're a big like inspiration of yours, and have you carried that into your playing now?
Yeah, yes and no, actually. Yeah, initially, because I did play with the plectrum initially, and his style very much influenced me early on, and I've always loved their music. I'd listened to the Lizzy stuff before I picked up the bass. But I think ultimately after that, my style kind of went away from that really, and I threw the plectrum away and used fingers.
Yeah, like the proper bass players amongst us.
Yes, yeah, and actually studied more latterly. I studied a few people. I've always tried to take in lots of influences, but on the sort of more rock front, it was Billy Sheehan.
Yeah.
From Mr. Big, and that's just one of my favourite bands ever, because he uses, whereas a lot of people will just use the 2 fingers for bass, he uses a 3-finger technique. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the second finger's laid 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, and he just gets so much more speed, and you can go across the strings much better with that as well. And if you listen to the Mr. Big stuff, it's just crazy speed that he can do. So I'd studied that for a long time. It did take quite a long time to get that very even with the 3 fingers and get an even tone across it. And you just have to sit and boringly just make sure you're getting that tone the same across the strings all the time.
It's that practice makes perfect technique thing. Yeah. It takes forever to
practice makes not quite as crap in my case.
Well, yeah. I'm trying to be nice.
You are actually. Yeah, you're very polite today.
I'm being very polite.
But yeah. So that was my main influence, I think, for rock guitar stuff. He's very precise and fast technique. He's incredibly solo in technique. It's just absolutely bizarre.
Yeah, I must admit, I've not really seen any of the Mr. Big stuff, but the thing that I relate to that is Geezer Butler. of Black Sabbath, he does. I mean, I don't know if he uses his third finger or his ring
Don't
finger,
think he does.
but he's so quick just with those two fingers. Then if he just uses a two,
Yeah. He is, yeah. He's another great player. My early influences, loads really. But you go to another technique completely, and there's like Stanley Clarke and people like that, and funk players. And particularly for me, it was an innovator when I was younger. Was Level 42, Mark King, and he was one of the very early ones to bring the slap technique into sort of pop stuff, chart stuff, and he really slaps hard, but he also has that hammer on with his little finger there, so you're getting that slap that side and the hammer on that side, and he can go across and go this, and it just adds so many notes with that like slap. And that again, I just studied that for hours and hours and hours just to try and get that percussive thing going across the neck, like down, like that's between the thumb and your little finger on there. It's quite percussive, drum-like almost.
Yeah.
And I added that into all the stuff with sci-fi. I mean, that's donkeys years ago now, sci-fi, and it was.
Oh, I know.
Before, well, I guess some of the early Chili Pepper stuff was out, but there was nobody really putting slap stuff into rock, particularly at that time. So
I
take credit for inventing that.
Yeah. You heard it here first. Andy Scott invented slap bass
in rock.
Yeah. I was looking around actually. I couldn't remember if Sci-Fi did 1 or 2 albums, but I was looking around for the one that I used to listen to. It's the cover is. Did you do 1 or did you do 2 albums?
3.
Oh, you did 3.
Well, 4 if you include the very last tribute one to Rob that was a live one, but 3 actual albums, yeah.
4, okay, well we'll say 3 because that's closer to 2, and then it makes it look like I've just muddled my numbers up rather than not done the research. But the album I'm on about, I can see the front cover, and it might be just a self-titled album, but it's you 3 are stood in like sort of lab coats almost. And it's like a white background, but then it's a square.
Right, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the third album.
It had Crows Fly East. Is it East?
Yeah,
Crows Fly East on it. So I remember listening to that over and over and over again, thinking this is great. But I never told you that. I never told you.
You didn't actually. No,
I didn't. No, I didn't tell you because I didn't want to give you the satisfaction. But
that was an unusual one actually, because but bizarrely I've got a little bit about this. That's the same. But we had that album done. We'd got loads of tracks that were, it was a little bit proggy, so quite a lot were sort of 5-6 minutes often, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we then had a boatload of material that we just couldn't quite finish off, and in the end we made it into a 25-minute piece. There seemed to be a few that all linked and made a story, and we changed the lyrics a bit, so it became a 25-minute piece. So when we printed the CD, we had it made up looking like an album like that.
Oh, wow, okay.
And we called it Side A and Side B, although there obviously wasn't on a CD. But Side A was the sort of songs, that I think it was 5-6 songs, something like that. And then Side B, there was like, we made all of that crackly noises on the CD then, because it went... and then started, as if it was on the record, and then started Side B, which was the 25-minute piece.
I mean, how do you even go about writing a 25-minute piece of music, especially prog rock music, because there's like 1,000,001 time signature changes?
Oh, there was. It was horrendous, yeah. And like I say, it came out of quite a few ideas that were going to be just songs, but never seemed to quite work.
Is that all you do then?
Resolve on their own.
Yeah.
And just some seemed to glue together. Then there was some that there was a gap, and so we invented new bits to fill those gaps. And so it was a bit of a process, really, with some bits that needed things filling.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only way that I can think that you'd go about doing it, is you've just got like 5, 6, 7 riffs that aren't connected, and you go, how can we just stick these two together?
Literally did, yeah. And ran a theme, a song sort of theme through it as well, if you like, and which Pod was really good at. He's very ethereal, isn't he, Pod? And
oh yeah, I would say people listening won't know Pod, but he is amazing, isn't he?
I mean, I wrote some of the stuff on the sci-fi stuff, but it was usual like love songs and things like that. But Pod Pod would come up with stuff like Ragnar Rock and Roll, which was, if you remember the year 2000, they thought all the computers were going to freak out, didn't they? Because the Millennium Bug and all that.
Yeah.
So he wrote this song called Ragnar Rock and Roll, which was about the battle of gods at the end of time. And that's an actual thing. Ragnarok was the battle of gods at the end of time. So it was all intertwined around that theme of the world ending because of computers like the Millennium Bug and that. And really clever. And then he did another one called Science Fiction, which was on one of the albums. And that was about his favourite scientist, Niels Bohr.
Oh, really? That's proper
and
pod,
Einstein, isn't it? Proper pod. It was like we were talking about his favourite scientist.
God.
Which we even had the word in it, amelioration, which I'd never heard before.
Amelioration? Ameliorate. What's that mean then?
I can't remember now. It's too clever for me. Yeah, it came in and then just went out the other side because my brain went, you'll never use that again, throw it out.
Yeah, throw it
You've
out.
Not got room for shit like that, just let it go.
You've got too many time signatures to remember. You can't be learning new words.
No. And then there was one called Dark Day, which he wrote because he went down to Devon in, was it about 2000, something like again, around that same time. And there was a total eclipse, wasn't there? It was one of the few there's been in the UK for a long time.
Yeah.
And he said he found that a very sort of moving thing. And he just wrote this whole song about it called Dark Day. And
fair enough.
So it made me feel very ashamed about writing my usual love song lyrics.
I love you. But it's
Do you love me?
Yeah.
And he's got words like ameliorated up his sleeve. He just pull this big word out.
Just pulls them out. I remember. I don't even know if it were the same gig at Ruskin's when I come to see you, but Pod had got, and this is very typical of Pod, but he had a normal guitar, maybe a PRS or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he'd got like a clip-on bass that he just clipped onto the top of it. That was only small. It was only like that big. And he'd clip it on top. So then he'd play his guitar. Then he'd quickly flick and play his bass. He had a keyboard there that he'd play. And then he'd got like a keyboard that you play with your feet.
Yeah, got bass pedals as well.
Bass pedals.
Yeah. So keyboard, but keyboard sounds like, yeah.
I'm pretty sure he had like another one that was like a MIDI controller that was set up to playing certain like sound effects, and then he'd sing all at the same time. I'm like, there's no need to be that talented.
There's no need at all. It's just showing off, isn't it?
It is
because one of the other things he does, of course, he's in a Rush tribute, isn't he? And he does the Geddy Lee, so he plays bass, sings, plays the keyboards, washes the pots all at the same time, hoovers up.
Yeah. And it helps that he looks a bit like Geddy Lee as well.
He looks a lot like Geddy Lee,
yeah. That's I would highly recommend anybody to go and watch Bravado, a tribute to Rush. Yeah, they are so good, aren't they?
Yeah, they're playing the City Hall this summer sometime. I think it's their 20-year anniversary.
Is it really?
So that's going to be quite a big one, yeah. So they're playing the City Hall Ballroom, which holds about 900, I think, something like that.
They sometimes come, and I don't know how often they do it, but they sometimes come to a place called the Archers in Coventry, which is about 20 to 25 minutes away from where I am. Yeah. I would love it if I could go and see them, because I've not seen them for years and years. And I used to do a bit of sound engineering for them. And only sort of sporadic, which is how you sort of come in really to my musical journey, if you like, because I used to go and do that sort of stuff with you as well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, with the Matt Black band, wasn't it?
Band. Yeah.
With Nigel Durham. You were Nigel Durham's lad, weren't you?
I was. Yeah, you were going to say something else then, weren't you?
Well,
you hesitated. Yeah, me and Nigel. I ain't spoken to him for ages, but yeah, he did used to make.
He still hates you.
Oh, well, standard stuff. He used to make me carry his drums from like sort of from here to like a mile away or whatever. Carry both bass drums. I'm like, can we not just park a bit closer? I'm like, no. And then after I'd finished carrying all his drums and helping him set him up and stuff, you'd then turn around and be like, oh, can you carry my big massive bass cab? I'm like, oh. Yeah.
That's what you were there for. You were 15 and no, about 18 then, weren't you? 18
I were about 18. Yeah. That were a laugh though. I used to love doing that.
Yeah. Remember, he was a great drummer, Nigel. He'd not that long since been in Saxon, hadn't he, before that, so he'd still got all the big kit and he's a frighteningly good drummer.
Yeah, he was a good drummer. Yeah, I remember. We used to, there were a place that we used to go in Liverpool, weren't there? Oh, no, not Liverpool, sorry. We're, what's that place now? It begins with a B. What's it called? Other side of Liverpool.
The side of Liverpool.
it'll come to me in a minute. But we used to go there, Matt Black Band, and it were like a biker bar thing, and it were.
Oh yeah,
do you
what
remember?
It was called? Yes, I do. I can't remember what it was called now. Yeah.
It was something like Birkenhead was the place.
Birkenhead.
Yeah. That was the area.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And then the actual bar was like something like the Rooster or something like that.
It was, wasn't it? I forgot about that one, mate. You're right.
Yeah, you see, I'm not as useless as everyone thinks I am. I just remember useless things.
Useless facts. Yeah, I forgot about that place. Yeah, and we played the Diamond over in Mansfield quite a bit, and we used to stay there as well and get bladdered.
Such a good venue. Yeah, I remember actually doing like almost doing like a lock-in, weren't it?
Yeah.
You'd play the gig and then get locked in and everyone stay, and it used to be all right. Like
forced to drink lager until it came out your ears, and there was usually free pizza on the bar as well, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was great, but that was payment though, weren't it? I don't know if anyone got paid for doing that, did they?
Oh, we got loads. We just didn't pay you.
Oh, okay. Well, fair enough. Understandable. Yeah. Well, to be honest, I'm sure that you owe me some back pay, and there's interest added on that I didn't tell you about.
From 10 years ago.
and it's something like 150%. Per year.
I'll play you squash for it.
Oh, no. Do you know what? So, again, listeners won't know this, but me and you have played squash together for a long, long time.
Oh, yeah. Probably,
yeah. Yeah, but we haven't played as much recently because I moved away from Sheffield, so it's been a bit tough, ain't it, to meet up with schedules and everything. But recently we did play, and
who won, Alex?
We touched on it earlier on that you were my dad's mate before I came along, and my dad and me and both my brothers are all very, very competitive.
Yes, they are. One's a sports teacher.
Well, yeah, but just in life in general, we're all competitive.
Yeah, you are actually.
None of us like to lose. I especially don't like losing to you. And
to an old man.
To an old
decrepit,
man.
old man.
Yeah, he turned up at this squash place, right, with his Zimmer frame, and like hunched over, and he's like, "Do you want to play squash?" And then batters us. And I was like,
half an hour when we tennis paddle and run out like that.
Yeah. I was fuming. I was so not happy.
You weren't, were you?
I wasn't. Not a little bit, but gone are the days where I'd smash my racket on the wall. I've learned the value of money first of all.
Yes.
And to keep my cool. Instead, you just shout a load of obscenities instead.
Yeah.
Aimed at you.
And then you bought me tea, so that was all right.
Yeah. So I'm not that bad of a guy, really, am I?
You're not, no. You're all right, Pop.
No. I've only just managed to financially recover from that tea, by the way.
Massive steak.
Yeah, huge.
The biggest steak you have, please, landlady.
Oh, dear. But going back to music.
Yes.
I would love to know some gig horror stories that you've got. Because, like I say, you've been a working musician for over 40 years. You must have got some funny stories for us.
Do you know what? You forget a lot of them, but you do. The clubs are the biggest nightmare back in the old days, because we did all the stuff with Diva and stuff, and nearly got signed up, and it cost quite a bit of money to promote and do. Particularly back then, there was no social media, and it never quite happened. So we then decided we'd make some money by going on the clubs. The rock stuff had just started to come in on the clubs there, working men's clubs, but oh Christ, they're just another world. They're always like 14 floors up and stuff, and there's one of them that got a lift, and I started to load things. Oh no, turn, can't use that. Can't have, like scratch paper. I know. So we had to go outside. Bear in mind, it was absolutely chucking it down.
Yeah.
And there were some metal stairs that go up the side. It's a narrow metal stairs, and we had. You won't remember the Tigers IPA. It was about 6K rig, and there were these huge speakers taller than, well, anything's taller than me, but no, they were about 5 foot speak to. It was a HDH rig, massive, and these compression drivers and all the gear, all up these metal stairs in the rain and that. And they made us do that. That was just the mentality of clubs. And there was another time that was not Crooks, a Walkley Club, which is a big club. I'd gone in early and set up, and I'd run all the cables on the stage and a multi-core right down the middle of the room, And I'd crawled on the floor to make sure it was all taped down under all the tables down the middle. And the bar staff had watched me by that time, and I was pretty much done. And some guy walked in, about 300 years old, and he's like, "I sit there."
Yeah.
Oh, well, there's nobody in. You could sit there, or there, or there, or there. No. I sit here. Okay. So I went to the bar and I went, this guy is like saying, I've got to move my gear because like he sits there. But then she'd been sat there all cleaning glasses watching me all this time. She went, oh yeah, Albert sits there, you'll have to move it. So
God.
So I had to then untape everything all the way down to the stage again and move my desk one to the left because he wouldn't do that, and then tape it all down again. And
when was this? When you were doing the Tiger's Eye stuff?
Yeah, the working men's clubs.
So you were doing all that with your massive perm.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah. Huge perm.
Well, it wasn't a perm, though. The sad thing is that was natural.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. You didn't choose to have hair like that, for God's sake.
Yeah, but you did choose to not cut it, so...
Yeah, but it was hair. The style was all long and in, wasn't it? So I had it like that.
Equal blame. Are you going to grow it back out again? It make a comeback?
No, it would just look ridiculous on me now, wouldn't it? Frankly.
Any more ridiculous than what you look now?
No, probably not. I'll give it a go.
No, I was going to say, yeah. You might be doing yourself some favours.
I do remember, I don't know if that was that venue or one of the other things. It might have been Crook's Club. All the missus and some friends all went and sat on a table. It was kind of like a booth, a bay, so it was circled, they all sat round. And some guy just walked in, again, little guy on his own, and barged right into the middle of them and sat down in between them all with his half pint glass and just looked into his pint glass and wouldn't move. And apparently that's because that's where he sat.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's just the mentality of the club just does me head in. It's just like, just sat there like everybody's like, what are you doing? I sit here.
Is that still a thing? Like, do people just come in and be like, I sit here. This is my place. Now, still now.
I've not been in. I couldn't do that again. The clubs now, but there's still a bit like that. A lot of the clubs have kind of changed a bit now and don't even do the bingo and that. I mean, Grass was screamed at before at the bingo, so we had the audacity to talk in the corner, and he stopped the bingo and screamed. He's like, "Hold them turn, keep it down. I'm going to finish this game of bingo if we have to go until 3:30 in the morning. Turn won't be coming back on until we're finished."
Oh my God. How dare you commit such a cardinal sin?
Talking right bingo.
Yeah.
You're second fiddle to bingo. So, yeah, most of the stories really from that time, it was great. We earned quite a lot of money on that circuit. So the rock stuff had just come in. And we took a big step on that one, actually, because we'd got a reasonable PA and stuff. And then... we got picked up by Alan Wood Agency, who's still actually one of the biggest club agencies in the UK. And he said, yeah, I'll take you on, but you've got to get yourself a much bigger show. He said, I'll take you to see Guns N' Oatcakes, who were mock name, but they're not a daft band. The guitar player had played with Phil Lynott.
Oh, really?
Just before he died, actually. Because Phil Lynott formed Grand Slam, and he was in there. The bass player had played with Saxon, with Nigel Durham, which was his brother. That was the singer. So it was a really good lineup. And I remember going to one of the big clubs, and Alan took us, and we all came to the band went, expecting a reasonable show, but it was ridiculous. They got a huge PA and lighting rig, and the curtains were shut, and they started to come on to Thunderstruck. So you went, that's big. And as the curtains start to open, this smoke poured off the stage, and it goes, Thunderstruck, all these flares go up and the lights, and we all just went, wow. In a club, they must have spent 20,000 on that rig. So we did. We ended up spending a lot of money on that rig, and it paid dividends, actually, because we did, we were one of the top sort of club acts on that circuit because we put a big show on. We did it for about 7 years, and then I'd had enough of that, really. That's when I formed Sci-Fi then after that, because I wanted to get back to doing some of my own material again.
So that was all with Tiger's Eye?
Yeah, all the club stuff was Tiger's Eye, yeah.
Because I remember you saying Tiger's Eye were close to being, to to getting signed like a proper deal?
No, that was Diva, actually.
Oh, it's Diva.
Yeah.
Because they were about a similar sort of time, weren't they?
It was before, Diva was beforehand, and we'd got a good following. We'd really good following at the time, and we'd got a single out. We'd played the City Hall a couple of times. We'd support Saxon. We supported Fish from early, and we got some really good reviews from sort of Metal Hammer and Kerrang and that. So it was all building up, and we did a showcase down in London for the record companies. We took a couple of coaches, actually. It was about 150 people, something like that, we took down. We were going about 5 or 6 years then, and that was the time we could have made it. We were good enough, and indeed Chrysalis, the guy from Chrysalis that day, said, I really want you to meet the sort of management because I want to put you forward to do it. But the management said at the time then, look, you are one of the best bands that's come through this door in the last couple of years. You're phenomenally good. However, Nirvana's just been signed and we're all looking for our new Nirvana, which we were never going to be. We were kind of AOR keyboardy sort of rock, Bon Jovi, Journey, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we didn't get signed. So that's when we carried on for a little bit and tried to keep going. But, we were bashing our head against the wall, really, because the music scene changed dramatically with that, didn't they? And so that's when we formed Tiger's Eye after that and did the just to get some money back for a while, really. And funnily enough, bizarrely, then it went full circle because me and Dale carried on and did the Tiger's Eye stuff and some of the members of Diva. And then we swapped on and we did, after that, stuff with Pod, did the sci-fi stuff. And then we did some more cover stuff, the Prog Doctors. And it was only after that, then I got back with Dale again, the singer from Diva, and John Hardman at the time, who had been in Diva and stuff, to do Tin Man, which we were doing covers again, but it was sort of covers that we enjoyed from albums as opposed to, I can't play Since You've Been Gone Again or Sweet Child of Mine. I'll stab someone to death if I have to play that.
Yeah.
But I do want to play Rainbow stuff, but we'd play Stargazer or something like that, off
something
classic
proper,
albums,
rather than the hits. Yeah.
Yeah, and people have been loving it, actually. People have been saying, oh, yeah, it's a real change to hear that. But while that lineup was back together, so some of the guys from Diva, we got a message from a guy in Italy from Frontiers Records, who are a bit massive, but they've got a sideline called, but they do sort of past masters or past jewels, they're called. So what they do is like finding people that kind of nearly made it and making an album out of it. So this guy phoned up and said, look, I've found this Diva single from 1989. Bear in mind, this is out about 2014, 15, something like that. Might be about 15, 16. Do you have any other material? Where the hell did you get that from? In Italy? That we only had 1,000 pressed at the time in Sheffield, like in 1989, and he'd managed to get hold of this copy somehow, and said, "Well, yeah, I love it. If you've got any more, we might be able to sort of press a CD of it. We want to do it, call it like past classic jewels or whatever." And I looked up in the loft, and I'd still got this huge reel-to-reel tape master. Of all the stuff that we'd done. I don't know why I'd kept it. I was thinking maybe we'd put it onto some kind of digital form. I don't know. But I took it to a guy in Manchester, and he took it out. And he went, I don't think this is going to work. And he pulled it out and he touched it and he went, actually, that's all right. So it goes sticky if it's not going to work. So he took it off and he said, bizarrely, we bake it. Really,
they bake the tape?
Yeah, on a really stupidly low heat overnight, and that just seals it completely again, so that you can put it in the machine and play it without, safely. And he put it on the machine afterwards, and actually, the quality is really good.
Oh, that's good.
The stuff we'd had done was at a studio with Def Leopard's first producer, and it was a good studio. So we then had that digitally remixed, and the guys from Frontiers put it out on a CD. So all those years later, we actually got a CD out with a nice cover with all the pictures in from the City Hall and all that kind of thing. So it was really nice to be able to have a product with all that material. And actually we ended up recording a new one because there was a song that we'd kind of not finished that we really liked. And the guy said, well, yeah, you record that, then stick it on. If you guys are all together, then it's weird that you're all playing together again at this time, all these years later. So I went into a studio and recorded a sort of new version of a track we'd started 25 years before, something like that.
That's nice though, like to have that material still sort of floating about, and then actually, you finish it with all the original members as well.
Not quite, no. It was with me and Dale and the original guitar player Dave Brooks,
right?
The tattooed man.
Yeah.
Then John Hardman, who was in the band currently in the Tin Man lineup, and he'd been in Tiger's Eye. He did some guitar as well. But then Dino, who's the drummer with Tin Man, he did the drumming because Alan hadn't been drumming for quite a while. So it was sort of three of us out of the original 5 lineup. Oh, and then Richard across the road did the keyboards. He's in the Tin Man lineup. So yeah, there was 3 of us from the original lineup still there.
Even so, like just having that, old sort of material come back to life again, and then to be able to release it as well, amazing.
Yeah, and it just sounds so good because, it turns out the original material was recorded really well in a nice studio, and then of course the techniques you got these days to digitally enhance it as well. Yeah, it sounded cracking actually.
So, do you think there'll be any future gigs or tours or anything like that with Diva?
No, I think we missed the boat a little bit because back then he was quite keen on putting, and he did put shows on over in Italy and through Europe with some of these bands that because he released 1 or 2 a year, I think 2 a year, and he used to do gigs in the summer and put some of these bands on at a fairly decent venues. And 1 or 2 of them have actually rejuvenated their career again all these years later. But at the time, Dale, and still is, was in Crimes of Passion, which is the original band as well.
Yeah.
And they were doing really well. He was touring, at the time, he was touring Russia, Germany, Italy, all around there. Then he was going over to Korea and Brazil and stuff like that. So the timing was just really poor for him to be able to dedicate any time to sort of rehearse, get a proper set, do gigs. So, yeah, we kind of missed the boat on that one, which is a shame. It was a good lineup, really. Might have been able to do something with it.
Well, never say never, though, because, if that's something that this bloke over in Italy wants to do again, then you never know, do you?
Yeah. I mean, and we are still together. Tin Man is now is with Shed now, as well, and it's still me and Dale and Dino on that. And, I wouldn't say that that it wouldn't happen. It could do, I suppose, if we got the time.
Yeah.
It'd be nice.
But it's actually quite a nice transition onto my next topic, really, because you mentioned earlier on about you recorded this single with Def Leopard's original producer.
Yeah.
At the moment now, you're working as you're in a tribute band, aren't you? A Sheff Leopard.
Sheff Leopard, yes.
Tell me about Sheff Leopard.
Yeah, that came up from. It's been nice actually because it came out with Tony Kenning was the original drummer from Def Leppard, and people always say, with one arm. No, he's still got both his arms. He's been way more careful with his arms.
Yeah,
and he was with them when they first started. In fact, they were called Atomic Mass to start with. And Tony and Rick Savage were in that, and with Steve Clark in it, I think so. But they formed then Def Leppard, and they brought Joe in at that point.
Yeah.
So Tony was actually on the original demo stuff on tape, not the one that they did the single, but on the tape. But they sort of. I think him and Joe didn't get on terribly well. There was a bit of they're all only 18. And in the end, I think Tony decided it would be better for him if he left and moved on, and he'd got stuff going in the family that he needed to sort as well. So I think he felt it was best for him to move on. And he actually ended up being in another band called Cairo, who had a really good single. So I think he thought he'd done the right thing. So he's a bit like,
yeah.
And Leopard still hadn't really good. Look at me with me single. And that was like, then it went, yeah. Of course, the Leopard went, but he didn't really have any regrets. You talked to him about it. He's not got any regrets about that. He's had a great life and good family and stuff. But it came to say about just before lockdown, and Tony had decided that it was time to do so. His girlfriend actually said, you should do it. He'd not even really told his girlfriend that he was the original drummer from Leopard. And when she found out, she's like, well, why don't you do some stuff again? Now the kids are grown up, and he's like, well, maybe I should then. And he was at the church house, I think it was. And he'd seen Harris Nixon, our guitar player, with Andy on stage, and they covered Animal. And he's like, God, these two work really well together. I might ask them if they fancied doing a Leopard sort of tribute thing. Obviously, doing a lot of the early stuff that he was involved with. But you have to do all the big hits as well. And Andy and Nix have played together for donkey's years, and I've known them for donkey's years, but never managed to get in a band with them. And they said, a bass player, and particularly one that can do all the high vocals and stuff, which I think that's my thing, and it sounded like a chipmunk. So they got me in. So it was really nice to work with Harris and Andy after all these years. I've known them about 30 years, and with Tony. And then we quickly found we'd got a singer, Mark, who stood in for us for a while, but he hadn't really got time to do it. But we found Paul, and he's been absolutely cock on. He really is. Joe Elliott, he's absolutely fantastic. And it's been going well with me. I only think it helps as a Leopard tribute, because there's one or two about, but we're the only one with an original member. So that does get us in through a lot of doors, and we get a lot of biker festivals, quite a lot of tribute venues and stuff. And even some, they didn't come off, unfortunately, but we got offered to do some gigs in Bahrain.
Yeah.
Followed by one in Dubai, followed by one in Abu Dhabi.
Middle East tour.
Yeah. However, the Gaza Strip situation put pay to that. That should have been earlier this year. So
selfish of everybody.
It really is, isn't it? Just calm yourselves down. I've got gigs to do, for God's sake.
Exactly, yeah. The people need to hear some Def Leopard.
They really need to hear this. It'll make world peace. But sadly, it didn't come off. But the promoter sort of says there's no sign of it calming down yet. But he as soon as it does, he wants us back out there. But we've already got next year. We're out in Greece for a week.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that'll be great. So it has. We are doing all sorts with that, and it's been great actually. Really
you were telling me about that Greece gig actually when I seen you a couple of weeks ago, and you were saying it's like an all expenses paid sort of gig,
it is, yeah.
Like amazing. So
they fly you out. They pack bag of your beers. They put you up.
Just remember who were carrying your cabs, and carrying drums and stuff so that you could play as a band. Tuning your bass guitars. Well, depending on what week it is, I might be free.
Yeah. See, there's no to carry really this time though, because you just got to take you can carry the guitar and your budgie smugglers in the other bag, and that's it. Because there's not much to take. They provide all the gear.
I'll carry the guitar. I don't know about the budgie smugglers.
Because they provide all the gear out there as well. So really, you only need to take the guitars out, and even all the backline and stuff they provide. So looking forward to that.
That sounds great.
So we're also then doing the Toto tribute as well. Because Shed in our Tin Man lineup, he was the only one really not sort of playing those kind of venues, because I was doing them with Sheff Leopard, and the keyboard player is with Atomic, who are really, really good 80s band. Have you seen that?
I don't know if I have, no.
They play City Hall at Christmas.
This was after I'd left Sheffield, yeah.
Yeah, you've got to see them. They're hilarious. They're really, really good at what they do, but they're also really funny on stage.
Yeah.
So Richard's doing all those kind of venues all the time. And then, of course, Dean plays in Bravado, so he's doing all those kind of venues. Dale plays all over the world, and Shed's like, I never get to play these venues. But, well, look, as a cover band, it is a bit sad, really, because as a cover band, you get to play pubs.
Yeah.
And it's same with an original band, but somehow you change that same lineup and you say we're now a tribute, and you just play one set of songs, Toto. They book you in. Oh no, if you're a tribute band, not just a cover band. Well, that's really annoying, because like you look at what Tin Man do, and they're tackling stuff from Yes, from Purple, from Extreme, from all these different styles.
Genesis, those sorts of
Genesis,
people, yeah.
you stick to one like Leopard or Toto, and all of a sudden they'll have you. So we are now doing those venues with that lineup. Shed's enjoying that a bit. So we've done a few actually with Toto UK and Leopard on the same venue, so I get paid twice. Yes.
they're the gigs that you want then, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
Because at the minute, I don't know if you've just finished or if you're just about to start a tour with the Motley Crue tribute band as well.
Well, we did the tour actually with them. We are playing again with them, but the tour we did was the last couple of years. I mean, that was genius on his part. The guy he's in a band called Motley Crue.
That's it.
Yeah. And it was about the time that Leopard, Crue and Poison were touring. And he contacted me to say, look, I'm in a band called Motley Crue. We've also got a band called Poison, but spelled with a Z. Wouldn't it be nice if we could find a Leopard band? And we'll just do a mock tour. So he put together this tour. We're only going to do about 6 gigs of it. But because at that point Leopard were not bringing that tour to the UK, and Motley Crue, it sold out everywhere. Everybody loved it, and we got loads of venues sort of saying, we want it, can we have it? And we ended up extending it for another year. Then Motley Crue and Leopard decided they were coming to the UK, and actually that, rather than kill it, it seemed to kickstart it again. And we booked it for nearly another year. So we did that for just over 2 years. And we could have done it longer, really, but we finished with that. We finished with a sellout at Birdwell venue, which is 500, and then we did. We were the first ever tribute act to sell out the Underworld at Camden.
Oh wow! Didn't know that.
Yeah, so that was quite a thrill. That's a good place to finish it. So, but we are playing with Poison again in a couple of weeks. We're playing with Motley Crue again next year, but we're doing our own triple header next year, which we're going to do with we're doing sort of classic British twin guitars. So we've got an Iron Maiden tribute and a Thin Lizzy tribute, and we're touring that one. That's already getting booked up. The venue seem to like the triple headers because I think it's good value for money, isn't it, for the punters? They're getting 3 bands for the price of about 15 quid. So
yeah, definitely. It sounds like it's going great. But I just want to tell you this story that's a bit sort of left field to what we've just been talking about. But you mentioned Iron Maiden, right? I talked about it on the last podcast episode. But so I don't know if you remember actually, but I used to work at Sheffield Arena. I used to do their
didn't you? Yeah, I forgot
sound
about that.
and lights. Yeah. It was great. But they said to us that you're not allowed to speak to any of the acts unless they talk to you. Don't approach them, kind of thing. Anyway, on one of the days, it was Iron Maiden, and they got there sort of really early in the morning because they were coming from sort of wherever, so they were just going to chill around and stuff. And I crossed paths with Steve Harris, I think is the bass player's name, isn't it? I crossed paths with him and he went, "Hiya, you all right?" And then I was like, "Oh my God, it's Steve Harris." So I went, "Hiya," and then sort of ran off like a little schoolgirl. Like, "Oh my God." I just thought that was funny. Like, I think it's probably the only time really that I've been starstruck and been like, "Oh my God, it's actually Steve Harris."
I've met a few like that now, over the years. I've been playing with like Tony Martin from Black Sabbath and FM and groups like that. You get it because you've kind of grown up with these. So for me to play with Tony Martin and be in a room with him, and he's like gone. Because he's got this massive voice, hasn't he, Tony Martin?
Yeah.
And he says. He's got his little voice and he's only quite small. He says, "All right, do you know Headless Cross?" I'm like, yeah, I think I can manage it. "Oh, great, we'll do that then." And so it started with a bum and I'm in doom. I'm like, this is cool. I'm playing Headless Cross with Tony Martin. I am not anything. And then he comes in, "Hello, Cross on the hill," and all. I'm like, whoa, he's got a massive voice. And then afterwards, he's just like really cool. "Well, good like that. Thanks so much." He was a really nice guy. Told us loads of stories about when he was touring with Black Sabbath in Russia and stuff like that. It's again one of those you can just listen to for hours and be like that.
I can only imagine what he's got to say.
Done, yeah. Oh, you could take there's hours of stories with him.
Yeah.
Fascinating guy.
I'd be interested to know, actually, talking about claims to fame. Have you got like a really, this is your claim to fame, that you've met someone or anything like that's happened to you?
Not massive, really. It's really probably Tony Martin, and he was, again, big hero of mine. He was in Sabbath. FM, in some respect, I know they're not a massive band, but they're a band that I've followed since they started donkeys years ago, and I just think they're musically faultless. And we got to Sci-Fi, got to play with them at O2 in Sheffield, and I was a big girl fan in there. It's like we were backstage, so we could go up into their dressing rooms and stuff. And like, oh, hello, do you mind if I come in and speak for 5 minutes? But they were really nice, and I said, we ripped you off mercilessly 15 years ago. Your riffs, those big fat keyboard riffs. He went, that's all right. He says, we ripped them off. He says, there's nothing new really. It's all just getting rechurned now. So it was nice to meet them. Steve Hackett, original guitar player from Genesis, we played with him.
That's good.
He's another ledge, really. Pod was practically speechless because that really is his absolute hero.
God, yeah.
And Steve Hackett's guitar, I don't know what was up with it now. Something had broke, and of course Pod works in a music shop, and that's what he does.
So he knew,
guitar.
Didn't he? He got
so
his
he's like,
leave
it with me.
Yeah.
And fix Steve Hackett's guitar, and Steve was like really like, and Pod could barely speak. He's like, oh
my God!
I've just mentioned Steve Hackett's guitar.
That's so funny. I could just imagine it as well. Him like sort of going there with his soldering iron or whatever, and trying to fix it, or just doing his strings up, and he's like shaking like this. Oh my God!
What if I get this wrong?
Yeah, I've just ended Steve Hackett's career.
Yeah, but like take him outside and do something with him.
Yeah. Take him out back and
shoot him. Hacked.
Yeah, you've just been hacked. Yeah, but right. I would like to know your top 3 albums or top 3 songs if you couldn't pin it down to albums.
We'll go with albums. Oh, songs will make it ridiculously difficult, won't it? It's difficult enough with the albums. I'd have to say, I mean, there's loads really for different reasons, but what stuck in my mind is, because it's the first band, well, not the first band I saw live, but the first band I saw live was the Boomtown Rats in 1979.
Yes, that's a good one though. That
it's quite a cool one. It's when they had all the big hits. I don't like Mondays and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the first rock band that I saw, which was the real musical switch on for me, was Rainbow at Stafford Bingley Hall.
Yeah,
and I immediately went out and bought Rainbow Rising, which is just a phenomenal album. Like Tarot Woman and Stargazer and stuff. In fact, Tim might have played some of those. So we played Stargazer and. Ronnie James Dio with the voice like a god.
Yeah.
Drumming from Powell. It was just so good. So that was a massive influence on me. That was my first major rock album, I think. And then another one that was a turning point which we touched on earlier, Mr. Big's first album, which was just Mr. Big. Because the opening track on that one is Addicted to That Rush. That one. And it starts with the guitar. But then the bass joins and they went all together. I'm like, what the hell is happening on here? I'd never heard anything like it. The drums, the guitar and the bass all doing this stupid fast stuff. And there's one called the Drill Song, isn't there? Because where they use the Makita drills on there to do the solo and stuff.
Yeah.
I had just never seen such skill in my life. And that's what really turned me on to Billy Sheehan. So I think that was another kind of eye-opening moment. So that album in particular, I remember. And I still play that to the day. In fact, they're on their last tour, because the singer's now 60-something. Well, also Billy Sheehan's 70, but still playing like a god. But the singer's in his mid-60s, and I think it's difficult to replicate that kind of stuff. It was all big stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say,
when you're in your 60s, you just can't, can you? So they're on a tour at the moment. They're in Leeds next Monday, playing the whole of that album from front to back.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
are you going to go and see it?
I think I might, actually, yeah.
I would. I
saw them in Nottingham on this tour a little while ago, but they've done such a long tour because everybody wants it. It's gone through Japan and Europe, that he'd pushed his voice too far and he was absolutely knackered. He could not sing at all. It was a bit poor, really. And he was getting a lot of crowd. And he knew it, and we knew why. So he had a bit of a break, and they've come back to the UK to do another couple of dates. And I've heard some stuff, actually. It is sounding good now. His voice has sort of come back. But you can't be doing 2-year tours when you're 60-odd. Can you really? Not as a vocalist, Not to. So that's the second one. And then the third one I thought of was just on a production value, really, when I heard it. I just went, holy crap, that is so good. Toto, Tambu album.
Oh, yeah.
Cheap.
Yeah.
I still use that album as my tester if I'm doing point for a PA or setting my gear up here. You know, you get that. Particularly, I Remember You. The ballad on there is just such a beautiful song, and that drum sound is, but it's just absolutely crazy production on that album, and the songs are so beautifully crafted, and it goes from one of my favorite ballads ever, I'll Remember, to Dave's Gone Skiing. Have you heard that?
I don't know if I have.
It's an instrumental track. It's just madness. They all get a solo, and it's utter madness. It's just
I bet
the level of musicianship. But it's with them, it's the class. Whereas Mr. Big are much more full in your face rock. Theirs is just this classy, big, fat sound with incredible production, and that album particularly stuck with me. So those are the main three. But of course, like you said, there's other albums like influenced me early on, like Jailbreak, Thin Lizzy, very early. You know, that's got Boys Are Back in Town and stuff like that on Emerald. And I think the Queen album that I really remember first was actually Jazz.
I mean, Jazz, was it?
Yeah. Because I was about 16, something like that. I think I might have, a bit younger, perhaps about 14. And of course, they had the big poppy. That was when they got into the real poppy singles, wasn't it? Like, you know, Bicycle Race and Fat Bottom Girls.
Yeah.
Which they were genius at doing the pop stuff. But then on that album, you've also got Dead on Time, which is heavy as.
Massive.
And you've got like Dreamer's Ball, which harks back to that really early kind of quirky stuff on the first two albums. So that was a real crossover album, and I loved that album.
Yeah, it's got a bit of everything, that album, hasn't it?
Yeah, that was a seminal pop sort of moment for me, and I got into a lot into the Queen stuff from there.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna have 5 albums. Sorry.
Oh well. You know, I wouldn't expect anything less from you, but I really
take.
Yeah, I really like asking that question to people because it puts me onto new music that I might not have listened to as well.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever really got into Mr. Big, so I really need to, and like hanging around with you for the past however many years, I really should have.
You should by now. It's always been an influence on me. So you must have heard it in the car and stuff.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Or I want 6.
Oh no!
Can I have 6?
No, you can't. No.
Level 42, Mark King, a live album that they did, that was just frightening. But again, it was a completely different style, and that's what hit me because it's kind of funk, jazz funk. Their original stuff. I know they had quite a lot of pop singles, but their actual background is more jazz funk, and they're all phenomenal players. And I heard a live album of them, and it was just scary. So I went to see them. And then I've been addicted to them ever since. So I'm sorry, I'm having 6 albums.
Okay, all right.
I promised to stop at 6.
I said, 3 albums, but you've gone for a multiple of 3 instead. So
you're
going to give me another 3, and then you're going to have 9 favourite albums.
No, I'll let you go at 6 because that's just another different style altogether. So I do like a lot of styles, you know. Like, I predominantly do listen to rock, but I love Mark King and Level 42 and stuff like that.
Well, that just improves your knowledge as a musician, though, doesn't it? Because like you say, you get into Level 42 stuff, and all of a sudden you're playing slap bass, and then you start listening to you Mr. Big, and you're playing some prog rock and stuff. It just that's just what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, and stuff. Is it like Juicy Loops? Is it Juicy
Loops?
Yeah.
I know you mean like a Swedish band or a Norwegian band.
The Swedish. I think they came out all that sort of the tech college stuff, and they again just frightening funk stuff. That bass player, I could happily murder him. He's just so he just does these phenomenal solos, but his face never changes. Like, this is easy.
It just does.
It doesn't even look.
But like. Like you say, I think they're a 3-piece, or they might be a 4-piece, but all of them are just unbelievable musicians in their own right, aren't they? And they're all like, I don't know, 25, something like that.
Yeah, they're all under 30, and they're just ridiculously good.
Yeah,
but I love listening to all stuff like that, because I think you do pull little bits of influences like that into your playing. You're not going to be able to do like I could never do now, like the stuff that Mark King does in the same way. But I tried, and I've got a variation of what he does. I can do some of that little hammer on his stuff and the percussive playing, and I'll put it quite a bit into the sci-fi stuff, but that would never be there if I didn't stretch my limits and listen to fresh things,
Yeah, course, absolutely. That's what it's all about, isn't it? And I'm sure as a musician of 40 plus years, your style from when you first started playing is completely different to what it is now.
Completely and utterly different. Yeah.
That's what it's all about. But now then, Andy Scott, we've finished. This is it. This is the end. Before you start talking about any more albums, I'm gonna.
I just thought
I'm surprised Sci-Fi is not on your list, but that's it. You can't have 7. You can't have 7. They're crap. Their bass player's terrible.
Awful bass player on that album.
But no, thanks for doing this with me. I do appreciate it. And yeah, look out for
speak to you, mate.
Sheff Leopard.
Yeah, and look out for actually Toto UK and Tin Man. Massive plug at the Victoria Bikers Pub on the 26th of July.
Ooh,
you're going to make an excuse. I've got to tidy my sock drawer that night.
I can't. No, I tell you what I'm doing on the 26th of July. I'm flying up to Glasgow.
Oh, Glasgow! Yes, you are.
Yeah. So why don't you quite unselfishly pick up all your stuff and move it over to Glasgow so I can come and watch it?
That, yeah. Well, Sheff Leopard are playing there again in September or October, I think. So, but yeah, that's quite close to you. It's in your area, isn't it? That one. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but no, thanks for doing this with me. I do appreciate it. It's been good to talk to you.
Yep, and I hope to see you soon and give you another beating at squash.
Oh, why did you have to say that right at the very end?
Take care, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Ta-da.